Yeah. It is time. You will not survive. Let's fucking do it.
What's up, everybody? This is the PlayStation Lifestyle Underground Podcast. We are an unofficial podcast of PlayStationLifestyle.net. I am Hugo Stiglitz. You can find me on PSN as Hugo Stiglitz _420. And we're doing a two-man show today. Brian, you want to say hi?
Hi. My name is Brian Mieszala. You can find me on the PlayStation Network, Xbox Live, Nintendo Network as CloudStripe768.
Cool. Lately, still playing racing games, Project Cars, Sebastian Loeb, Rally Evo. A little bit of F1 actually, because the F1 season started up again. Inspired me to play some of the F1 game. I been getting back into Killzone multiplayer a little bit. I've been playing a lot of Fallout still. Yesterday I tried the new free game for PSN, which PS Plus, which was Zombie, and so far I actually like it. I mean, I don't think it has much on Dying Light, but it is very interesting, and I kind of like how it's very atmospheric and claustrophobic too. Also, I tried like a couple demos. Like I tried the Final Fantasy 15 demo. I tried the Unravel demo. Oh yeah, like I have been playing like a little bit of stuff on PC, like just racing games and stuff. But yeah, I guess that's about it for me. What have you been playing lately?
Oh yeah, I actually went back and have been trying to clean up some games that I never quite finished. Fallout 4 being one of them. It's hard to finish a game that basically has no end. Even though the story ends, just the quests keep coming forever and ever if you want them to.
Really?
So been chipping away at that a little bit. Finished and platinum Far Cry Primal the other week. Finished and platinum Lego Batman 3 the other week as well.
Cool.
Finally finished Saints Row 4 for PS4.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why I stopped playing it like 3 missions before the end, but I finally just finished that. And, yeah, just trying to play some games and clear some games before the slew of games start to come in the next couple months. I mean, Ratchet, Alien Nation, Uncharted.
Yeah.
Valkyria Chronicles is going to take up quite a bit of time. I plan on playing through and hopefully platinuming the Uncharted collection before Uncharted 4.
Yeah.
Whether that actually happens, I don't know yet, but that's the goal, so I want to try to get as many games out of the way before those games happen. And
That reminds me,
pretty much it.
Forgot to mention what I've been playing on Vita, which is, like you said, Uncharted collection. I already platinumed 1 and 2. Right now I'm working on 3. And, yeah, just been doing that on the Vita a lot through remote play. And also been playing a little Badland as well when I'm not using remote play, pretty much. But, yeah, can't forget the Vita, because I do use that quite a bit. But this week we wanted to talk about, personally one of my favorite series. I think you would say the same, Metal Gear Solid. I'm a little bit new to the series, although it doesn't make me like it any less. I think it, since it's so fresh in my memory that I really like it, probably as much as longtime fans. Maybe not as much history in there, but because I first played it in 2014, I played them in order of release. Now, I think you played them as they came out, but what would you say is the best way to play through them? Like, if you're gonna recommend them to someone who hadn't played the series before, what would you say? Would you say that they should even try to do chronological, or would you say that they should go in the order of release? Because that's what I think. I think it should be in the order that they were released. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the best way, I think, is in the order that the games naturally came out.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Peace Walker before 5.
Yeah.
I actually haven't played the other handheld ones, the Acid or the Portable Ops.
Yeah.
But even though they're kind of side stories that add a little bit to the Acid is not canon. Portable Ops are canon and add a little bit.
I thought
primarily for 1 and 2.
Yeah, I thought Portable Ops was like canon because I thought it like kind of shows you how he met Campbell. Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah, like I have it, but I haven't played it much.
Spoilers, by the way. Is this going to be an episode full of spoilers?
Yeah. Like
before we go
once
any
we
further,
start talking about story, yeah, we should definitely mention spoilers just for anyone out there that hasn't played the games yet. But
right. No, Portable Ops were canon. Acid was not canon.
Mm-hmm. I think.
But yeah, I think.
What's his name?
I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure the Acid games were not technically considered canon as part of the overall story and universe.
Yeah, I think Kojima said it wasn't canon. I think also he mentioned that certain things in Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake were also not canon. Although, it seems like if you've played through 5, it seems like some of the things are canon, because it kind of makes sense. Like, after you play 5, you kind of see what's going on a little bit. Well, we won't spoil that bit, but,
right.
Personally, I think it is best to play it in order of release because that's the way Kojima created it, and he was very deliberate with certain things, like how he showcased certain characters because of the fact that he knew that the audience would know those characters. Now, I would say if you're going to go out of order at all, I think the one game that you should really not play before the rest is 4, because that one is loaded with everything involved in the series because it's chronologically the latest, and there's just so much fan service, and a lot of it will be lost on you if you haven't played them in order. And it's like, I've heard people say that they played 4 first, and I almost did that myself because when I first got a PS3, I tried out the demo, and I wanted to get the game, but it was 4, and I was like, man, it's like, I don't know if I should because of the story and stuff. And boy, am I glad I didn't, because, wow, the reason why 4 is my favorite is because of all the fan service and because of how it relates to the rest of the series. So it's like, yeah, that's the one game I would say, don't ever play that out of order.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are just some insane moments in that game that are just, not really going to seem insane if you haven't played the rest of the series, specifically the first one, especially. But let's talk about the first one. Personally, I think it's actually the best in the series, although it's not. I do love 4 more, just because of the fan service stuff. But I do think that 1 is probably a more solid, all-around impressive game, especially for when it was made. I mean, I feel like that game is 20 years ahead of its time. When you go back and play it and listen to the dialogue and how, awesome it is, and just, how, well fleshed out all the characters are, and the voice acting, especially, the voice acting is awesome, and, graphically, it's a PS1 game, but it's still, the way it was set up with the camera angle, it's you can still, it's not, completely terrible like some PS1 games kind of seem now. When you play them, it's my only complaint about the PS1 games is how the textures kind of move on their own sometimes. They kind of shift. That's one thing that bothers me about PS1 games, and personally, I would love to see them remake that game, Metal Gear Solid 1, as it was, just with upgraded textures and stuff, for PS4. That would be amazing, but probably won't see that.
They probably They probably won't, though, because there is a HDified version for GameCube called Twin Snakes.
Yeah. Yeah,
And it's
I've
not
heard
quite.
that
It's
one.
more. It's the first game remade in the vein of the second game, so it looks better and it has the first-person elements. But I'm not entirely sure if a remake of the first one officially is possible.
Yeah, I wonder just
For that
because
reason, it's a little hazy with the whole
Kojima.
part, on Nintendo, and now Kojima's gone. It's muddled and messy, and I don't think that's possible. Mostly because of the GameCube version.
Also, it seems like Konami just doesn't give a shit about consoles anymore.
Yeah.
And plus, they've burned bridges with a lot of people, I'm sure. But I mean, I suppose they could. I think it would be some easy money. Remastering games is quite a bit less complicated than making a brand new one. So if they wanted to make some money, I think they could really do that, and I think it would be amazing. But it's probably never going to happen, just because there's a lot of things like that with older IPs where they just kind of get tied up, and I think that's what's going to end up having a Metal Gear Solid. Is just because with Kojima gone, and them getting out of the console business, it just seems like they're just going to hold on to it for whatever reason, just so they can make whatever little money that they'll make from it, going forward. Which will probably end up being a lot of money, just because, I mean, that series is always going to sell, a little bit here and there, and, Metal Gear Solid 5 is still going on with multiplayer, but I hope eventually they release the IP, someone buys it, I don't know, but it's just I'd love to see Kojima be able to do something with it, even if it's not make another game, because I think the story is pretty much sealed, almost, sort of. But even being able to do that, a remake of one would be really cool. Or the first two, Metal Gear Metal Gear 1 and 2. Because I actually haven't even played those. Have you played those yet?
I played a little bit of whichever one was on the subsistence disc. I think it was subsistence.
For 3?
Because, yes.
They're actually both on 3. I think. Well, I'm not sure about the PS2, but I know on the HD collections, even the Vita one, they're both on there. I did play a little bit of the first one, and it actually seems pretty cool. Especially for that old of a game and that type of game. I don't know, it's just I've had other stuff to play, and it's just so old. It wasn't quite as easy to get into as Metal Gear Solid 1 was. You know what I mean? Especially with there not being voice acting. I've never really played a lot of games that were strictly text based. I think the only one I've really played is Zelda. So it's that's that's something that I'm not used to, and it's one type of that's one thing that'll take me out of the experience, or just it's one hurdle that I'm maybe not always willing to climb. You know what I mean?
Especially since you have the assumption's not the right word, but just expectation that when Snake talks, you hear David Hayter. And to an extent, Kiefer Sutherland sort of maybe, but David Hayter.
Yeah. Speaking of that, what's your opinion on that, the whole replacement of David Hayter? I'm not a fan of it. And not because I actually really, really like Kiefer. I'm a huge fan of 24. But Hayter's just not replaceable. His voice was just too unique, too iconic. And I understand that the reason really was because Kojima wanted a Hollywood actor from the start. But obviously it wasn't possible for him back then. You know what I mean? In the 90s, video games weren't really as big as far as getting actual Hollywood actors into it. It became more and more big over the years. And I heard recently that Hayter said that during Metal Gear Solid 3 he wanted to get Kurt Russell, but Kurt Russell turned it down. So it's basically Kojima has been trying for years to get a real Hollywood star in the role, and he finally did. But it's basically the last game in the series, and Hater is just so established that I think that was an incredibly stupid move. And he barely even spoke anyways in 5. Like Kiefer barely even had any lines, other than some of the recordings, the cassette tapes and whatever. And I don't know, personally, I don't think he did a great job. He did fine, but I don't know. There wasn't really anything special about it to me. I don't know. What do you think about the whole David Hayter debacle?
I mean, it's hard. I was convinced, absolutely convinced, that David Hayter would be in the game somewhere anyways.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until after the fact and him, actually confirming it and the game coming out and confirming it and everything that he wasn't at all in the game, which was finally it took all of that to finally convince me that he wasn't in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I am in a similar vein as you. Maybe I like Kiefer Sutherland a little bit more. I kind of understand how an aged Big Boss would sound a little more gruff and grizzled, and it's a little weird to say too because of Old Snake from 4. And
yeah,
it's complicated, it's muddled, it's confusing. It makes a little bit more sense after you've completely finished Metal Gear Solid 5, I guess. But still not really.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to get into that kind of spoiler territory, but
it is kind of, we don't have to touch upon that, but, one thing...
He's not Hater.
Yeah.
Hater is Snake. Snake is Hater. There is
explanations, for, why it should have been Hater, or could have been Hater without any issues story-wise, but, that's a pretty huge spoiler. I don't know, let's just drop it. Alright, spoiler alert. Mute us for maybe 20 or 30 seconds. So it basically the entire game you're not actually Snake. You're not Big Boss. But right at the beginning of the game, he tells you that you changed your voice to match Snake's. And the other thing is Snake was actually in that hospital room with you, and he sounded exactly like you do. So if they used Hater, so even though you're actually not Big Boss, you're Venom Snake, it still totally could have been Hater because, the actual Big Boss sounded the exact same. Alright, end of the spoiler alert. Let's, unless you have anything to add, I don't know. As far as spoilers.
No, I was basically dancing around what you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it could have been folded in a way that kind of makes sense and makes it full circle.
Mm.
And explains, different, certain inconsistencies. And I even assumed for some reason that Richard Doyle would make an appearance. He very briefly voiced Big Boss at the end of 4, when at the very, very end, Snake in the graveyard. So
yeah, I think
spoiler alert from a 9-year-old game.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing is with that is I think wasn't Big Boss 90 years old at that time. So it's there I understand him having a different voice actor, but the whole Kojima's excuse of him wanting a more mature or older, and the funny thing is Kiefer is only a couple years older than David Hayter anyways, but I never bought that excuse. Like I said before, I think the real reason is just that Kojima always wanted a Hollywood star to do the role, and he finally had the power to get it, and that's why I think. But
probably, yeah.
I find it disappointing. Even before I played the Metal Gear Solid series, I had heard about this whole thing, and I immediately was, thought it was ridiculous. So it's you had, because even if it wasn't such an iconic voice like David Hayter's is, like I still am against them changing the voice actors of characters unless they really really have to. But especially when it's a main character, I just don't like it. Like I mean, it's kind of jarring and it's kind of hard to like the newer one better. I mean, unless they really really are much better. But it's like even Metro 2033, the original voice actor. They changed it for Metro Last Light, and then when they did Metro Redux, they had the new guy go redo all the one from 2033. So it's like, unless you have the original version of 2033, it's like you never hear that original guy, but it's like, that change, I wasn't a fan of anyways. I mean, the new guy's great. It's just like, I don't know. I'm a little stubborn with that sort of thing, you know what I mean? Like, changing voice actors. Like, I like them to stay the same. Just because you're much more familiar and stuff. Like I don't know a lot of other examples, but I don't know. Like I'm a little stubborn about when it comes to that. What do you think? Do you ever get bugged when they change voice actors, or are you kind of used to it now?
I mean, it's a relatively new thing where you have a lot of games or multiple games in a specific series, and there's a specific continuity to the games. I mean, Metal Gear Solid has always been one of the pillars in that respect, I think, where you had David Hayter as every Snake. You had Christopher Randolph as every Emmerich between Hal and Huey.
That's true, yeah.
Can't remember, but Miller was the same, I believe, the same voice in the earlier ones in 1.
Yeah, it actually was.
Mei Ling came back, and
pretty sure. Oh yeah, Mei Ling changed, didn't she? Didn't her?
I think Mei Ling stayed the same, and the other one,
Meryl
from 1 and 4. Meryl stayed the same, and
she did, yeah.
I'm even talking about the other one. Hal had a thing.
Oh, Naomi. Naomi,
there we go. Yep. I'm pretty sure that, all their voice actors came back for the 4th. So even if they didn't, they were really, really close, similar, and I couldn't really tell the difference. Not that I played the first, just before playing the 4th to really remember, but still, I mean, just that continuity of at least the main pillars of the franchise. Quentin Flynn as Raiden for all of them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Is another one.
What's his name for Roy Campbell as well? He stayed the same.
Yep. It just helps solidify the universe as one non-changing, thing. Like I said, the continuity, and you don't get that too often in other games. I mean, Metro, the first and the second game, a lot of the voice actors in the Final Fantasy 13 3-game series were all the same. Stuff like that. That helps. I don't like how, more recently speaking, they have some big name Hollywood actors coming in for the Final Fantasy 15 movie, like Sean Bean, Lena Headey, and Aaron Paul.
Yeah.
And then their voice actors are different in the game than they are in the movie, which is a little bit jarring.
Yeah, that to me is very odd.
I understand that they can't afford it maybe for the game, but at the same time, why even bring them in the first place if you're going to have your fan or anyone watch the movie, play the game, and hear completely different voices, and
especially because it's animated,
stuff like that.
Like I could understand if it was live action, like and it was like a big Hollywood, like the Uncharted movie that they were going to do. Like I understood that they weren't really planning on using Nolan North for Drake. Although they certainly could have and should have used Emily Rose for Elena, because she looks like Elena and is a actually pretty successful actor anyway. So, but like if it's animated, there's not really any excuse not to use the real voice actor. You know what I mean? So that is weird. I agree.
And then another couple examples like Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 had a bunch of different voice actors for some of the characters.
Mhm.
The first one had more high-profile voice actors like Lance Bass for Sephiroth, David Boreanaz for Squall/Leon, Mandy Moore for Aerith, and stuff like that. I mean, that was a little weird, and then they changed the second game. I guess they couldn't afford to bring him back or something like that, or they thought the first game would just be a mostly one-off. I don't really know, but it does get a little weird, especially when you play them one after another and see, you played 4, Metal Gear Solid 4, for example, David Hayter, he's Snake. Ocelot is older and is a little, I don't know, taken over by Liquid. I don't know how much of a spoiler that is. That happened in the second game 7 or 16 years ago.
I mean, his name is Liquid Ocelot. But I still think,
Yeah.
I don't think time is an issue, because, I'm a perfect example. Like, I didn't play the games till 2014, so it's like, no matter how old the spoiler is, I still like to say spoiler alert, but, Liquid Ocelot is like, I mean, I think it's literally on the back cover of Metal Gear Solid 4, so, I like the name, so I think it's kind of not a huge spoiler, but, I guess what would be the spoiler is how he ended up that way, but, it is kind of strange when they change voice actors, and I think the most controversial one has got to be Kiefer for Metal Gear Solid 5, but that's not the only controversy around Metal Gear Solid 5. The whole ending chapter, or, the chapter that was supposed to be there, which you can actually basically watch on YouTube, which, not the actual gameplay, but more kind of pre-cinematics, early cinematic type things. And it is a bummer that ended up not making it into the game, because Konami didn't want to pay for it or give Kojima the time, or I don't know, who knows what actually went down. But it is a bummer, because, I mean, even if they, I just wanted to play it. Even if they did it as DLC, which I'm sure plenty of people would have raged about, them making us pay for something that was planned to be in the game. I just wanted to play it, and, although I am bummed that wasn't in the game, I still don't think that means that what they did give us is any less brilliant. I still think the game is incredible. I think it is one of, I think it's the best game of this generation so far, frankly, and it definitely has flaws, but it just nails it in the right areas that I don't think it's as controversial as some people do, but I don't know. What do you think about that whole controversy about them not including the third chapter?
So, spoiler alert for the next 30 seconds. What was on the YouTube part exactly? I saw it. I remember. I don't exactly remember it though.
It was basically you find out where Liquid Snake went. Eli, the kid. He and the other kids took Metal Gear TYLERxDURDEN, and they went to
the island.
What's that?
To the island?
Yeah, they took it to some island. Yeah.
That whole bit and the war and napalming it and all that.
Yeah, basically you and the Diamond Dogs go in and try to get it back. Some stuff goes down with kind of like a face-off with Eli, but basically it was supposed to be a pretty large chapter and maybe even a third area. How, I mean, the main game had Afghanistan and Africa, or South Africa, or I don't know exactly what it was, but some people think that that island could have been a third map for the game,
right?
And it would make sense, I guess, if depending on how substantial of a chapter it would be. I could have seen it being just a mission, just one mission. So a much more limited map as far as scale wise, but a more linear mission, just kind of like the opening chapter. You know what I mean? I think they could have done it that way. saved a considerable amount of money development-wise, and still giving us what we wanted, which was, just to know what happened with that part of the story. But it's like...
I don't know how to talk about this without continuing the spoilers.
Yeah, we might have to go back into spoilers, but, Alright, spoiler alert. What did you think about the ending that we did get? Like, they didn't tie up the whole situation with Eli, but they did kind of put a cap on everything else, and I was very satisfied with it. Like, it was pretty shocking, and, although they left that kind of question unanswered as far as Eli, I still really loved the ending and the story as a whole. Like, it certainly wasn't the best story in the series, in my opinion at least, but I still thought it was great. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I definitely think that it was probably like a end of chapter 2 kind of thing. The second arc of the game, I think, personally, didn't end as cleanly as the first arc.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was just, even Ground Zeroes kind of started teasing and building towards Skullface and who he was and what was going on with XOF and all that. And then, the first arc ends, you kill him. Well, yeah, you basically kill him after the battle with Sahelanthropus, and it just ends very well. It almost feels like the second part was the building towards the climax, which should have been the third. I mean, it was good. It ended. It definitely feels like there should have been more. The bonus stuff with the island and tying things together forward with Eli and who he is, and Psychic Kid, I never remember his name, and who he
Psychomantis?
is. Yeah, it's not much of a surprise. And just that whole arc and how they came to be together and stuff like that was a little weird. I definitely had to go and I was lucky enough to get the collector's edition that has the DVD that has all that stuff on it, so I was able to watch it that way and all that. But yeah, I mean, it definitely feels like there should have been more. It definitely feels like that's kind of the issue Konami and Kojima had. He wanted to keep making the game. They said no, just put it out. We spent enough money, and what we got is what we got.
Yeah.
And I guess it could have been, I mean, it always could have been better. It was not perfect. Like you said, the story is definitely not one of my favorites in this series.
Yeah.
Might be my least favorite, honestly, with just what's going on and what the end game is. It's a little weird to me. But, I mean, gameplay-wise, it was the best in the series, without a doubt.
So yeah, it's not my least favorite story in the series. I definitely liked it better than Peace Walker, and even 2, kind of. Although there are some things I really liked about 2. I don't know. But one complaint I would have about this story in 5 is just, like, they used the parasites to explain too many things. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of like a, cop-out at some points, it seemed like. Not a huge deal for me, like, because I'm very good at suspending my disbelief and, just letting the story take me where it wants to go. But, yeah, it was kind of funny how, like, everything odd going on in the game was almost always due to the parasites. But,
yeah.
I still, thought it was a great story. It's just, personally, I just think that the rest of them, especially 1, 3, and 4, especially, are just incredible stories. I think a lot of people make fun of them, and sometimes they do have good points about being super complicated, and there being twists. There always being twists, but the thing is I played them all in order and kind of like a binge, so I feel like it was much easier for me to keep track of everything than most other people. So it's I think a lot of people, if they played them in order of release and then only played them once, then naturally they're not going to remember what they played like 2 years ago when they played the second one or the third one or especially the fourth one. Like, so I can see why people say that it's confusing and this or complicated, but I found it very easy to understand. There's a lot to it. It's an extremely, extremely deep story. But above all, I think the most important thing is entertaining. And it was incredibly entertaining to me. And it's like, I love the characters. I grew attached to the characters. And, like, I love the story. I think Kojima's a genius. What do you think? Are you of that same mindset, or you kind of agree with the critics more?
I don't entirely agree or disagree. I could definitely see where the story gets really dense and maybe too complicated in some areas.
Yeah. It definitely.
I really think that, especially the second. I mean, I don't know what the roadmap was for these games. I don't know if Kojima thought to himself, "Oh, I want to make like 7 games in this series with Snake and all that." I think the second game maybe went off the rails a little bit too much with what's going on with. I mean, even saying that is not entirely correct. It's just weird. Some of the things that happen in the story, like with Snake Eater, and Snake Eater's the simplest story. Cold War, CIA agent infiltrating Russia, kill a defector, take out a super weapon. That's basically it. And from that, it kind of devolved a little bit with Cypher that turned into the Patriots. That is like the backdrop for the rest of the series, even though you don't really know about it until it says it at the very, very end of the second game. Lale Lule Lo. And then the fourth game is all about that. It's finding, Major Zero and the Patriots and stopping that whole, like, controlling the world, Illuminati kind of thing. I mean, it's even talking about it right now, outside of playing it, I sound ridiculous. But I mean,
not to me. I understand it just because it's like they're all part of the same lineage. The philosophers. I think there was even another group. The philosophers, then Cypher, then the Patriots. Like they're all kind of like the same lineage and stuff. Like they're kind of like the overseers of the whole, world in the whole series. They just kind of change form over time, and so that's why I found it much easier to swallow all of that stuff. Like, although just kind of get a little, crazy at times. I guess, but I don't know. It also kind of all ties together too. It's just that whole organization is kind of on one linear path, like the way it goes, and the way things change. But it's an incredibly deep story. So yeah, like it's. I understand some of the criticisms. I also understood the criticisms of there being like constant like conversations or cutscenes and stuff, but I actually loved that part of it. Like I missed the codec calls so much. Like I loved the codec calls. Like although I guess some of them do get annoying at some points, but especially in like the first one, I just loved them.
Yeah, I mean there was. I will never in my life forget Otacon telling me to change discs after I beat Sniper Wolf. That will be one of my most cherished video game memories of all time.
What you mean in 4?
In 4, it was an Easter egg because in the first game, the first Metal Gear Solid was 2 discs, So
Yeah.
the first disc ended after you fought Sniper Wolf, and
Yeah.
you were about to
Well,
go
it's
past
not.
that part to the underground part, and Otacon calls you in a codec and says, he's telling you basically that it's the end of disc 1. Now you have to put
Yeah.
in disc 2. So I mean,
And he's like,
the,
"Oh yeah,
the
oh wait,
Enforer was an Easter egg.
we're on the
Yeah.
PS3 system. I forgot that we have Blu-ray technology and we don't need to switch discs anymore." And then the thing that made it so funny to me is it's like Snake was just like, "Damn it, man, get it together!" Like, that part cracks me up every time. But yeah, no, that I loved that part too. Like that was one of my favorites as well. It cracked me up so bad when I first heard it, and still does. It's just such a funny situation. But yeah, like that reminds me of like the disc changing and the other things with like even from Metal Gear Solid 1, they had incredibly cool boss design. Like not the usual, like they're puzzles in themselves, like you know what I mean, but in even more extreme ways than most other games. Like in other things that just involve, broke the fourth wall or whatever. Like as far as like you literally reading the CD case of the actual game in real life. Like it, them talking about PS3 directly, is really cool. Like I like that stuff. Psychomantis is what made me
That
think
whole
of it.
fight.
Incredible stuff. Like wow.
Ooh, I could control your actions, plug in the controller. Oh, amazing at the time. I mean,
so cool. Yeah.
Fucked with my head because I had no idea how to fight him because nothing worked. But those have always been great. The Sniper Wolf fight is incredibly memorable.
Yeah.
Even the end in the 7 different ways you could fight the end in Metal Gear Solid 3.
Oh yeah. Like you could
it was complete.
You could
fan
not play
service
the game
with,
for 2 weeks and he'd just die.
Yeah.
So cool.
There was the Rex versus Ray fight.
Oh, that was epic.
And of course, just going through every single end boss at the end of 4 when you're just you and Liquid Snake each other up.
Oh yeah.
And it just goes through all the music and
So
stuff
epic.
like that. At the very end, when you're going hand to hand with Liquid on Rex, and then the second one, Solidus in his armor in New York, and then finally, of course, the boss.
And then they played the theme song of 3, and that was one of my favorite parts about that boss fight. Is just going through the music and all the memories, and I mean 4 was such awesome fan service. Like I eat that sort of thing up. Like I loved it so much because of that. And
you had the whole Shadow Moses chapter as fan service.
Oh my god, that was the coolest thing ever. Like seriously, it's like you get even the second time I played, I got goosebumps as soon as I start walking into the heliport and that ending music starts playing. It's such an awesome series. Like Kojima's.
I teared up playing that. I teared up during revisiting Shadow Moses in 4. I mean, I was inebriated. I was in college. I was with my friend who was as big of a Metal Gear Solid fan as I am, so the both of us got a little emotional for no reason, except for the alcohol reason, of course.
Yeah, no, I think I did too. Like at certain points, at least got a little choked up.
I mean,
because it's such an epic, deep, long story, and I mean, in just the way they deliver that fan service in 4 is just amazing.
And it just brought me right back to playing the first game, beating it, being floored with how amazing it was.
Yeah.
And after, when the credits are rolling, that's the song that plays.
The best is yet to come.
I think that's the name of the.
That's it.
So, just the second they say we could go back to Shadow Moses, and then you're flying in, the snow is coming down. That song plays again in 4. Lost it.
Yeah, when he first mentioned, in Liquid's, Liquid Ocelot. Sorry, I had a brain fart there. Is going to... We have to go to Shadow Moses. I was just like, what? So fucking cool. And it's so awesome that they did that. Like, and it looked amazing, too. Like, it was... like a 3D of Shadow Moses, but it looked so much like the original, just much better quality, which is another reason why I've always had high hopes for a remake of the first one, just because I know they could do it really well. Like, I mean, not 3D, like I said, I would like it to be pretty much exactly like the first game, just better, assets and technical quality and stuff, but basically the same game. Because I think it still plays really well, but yeah, no, that was one of the coolest. I think, definitely one of the coolest moments of the entire series. But back to the bosses, Sniper Wolf, like you mentioned, how much you loved that fight. I personally love the battle with Quiet. When you first run into her, that fight was so epic for me, and it kind of felt to me like how the fight with Sniper Wolf would have been had they had the same technology and been put out on PS4. Like if it was in a different era, like I kind of felt like that's what it would have been like. And let me preface it, but like when I played it, I thought that if you used lethal weapons against her, like your sniper rifle, that she would actually die and you wouldn't be able to have her as a buddy. I didn't know that. Well, spoiler alert. That if you just shoot her with the sniper over and over again, and I think you only have to hit her like 3 times too or something, like that she just is laying down and you get to choose then if you want to bring her back with you and have her as a buddy. I didn't know that, and I didn't have a tranquilizer sniper rifle, so I used the pistol. Do you have any idea how hard that was? It took me, I think, 3 attempts. One attempt, I got her almost to the end, and then she one-shotted me in the head. And it's like, it was such painstaking progress that I made, but it was so much fun, and it was so epic, and it was a perfect example of how brilliant 5 is gameplay-wise. Oh man, I just love the fight. And also, Quiet is, definitely one of my favorite characters of the series. As far as the whole Solid Snake versus Big Boss, I like Solid Snake a lot better. But then the boss, I also love the boss. I think the boss is one of the coolest characters in the series, and it's almost kind of it's a bummer that she was only in the third one, basically. There wasn't really mentioned too much after that. And it's there were theories that in 5 that she might be or there might be a clone of her, or something weird like that, and I thought that would have been epic, but it didn't end up coming to be. Well, not. How so? Spoiler alert.
The same way she was in Stalker.
Oh, yeah. To me, that doesn't count.
Her AI.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, it's still kind of, but not really. But kind of.
Yeah, to me, that's not
the Kojima way of doing things.
She's not the same badass, soldier that
she
was. And I mean, what really made her such a badass is to me is she made Big Boss look like a fool, absolute weakling. I mean, she pretty much did it to everyone she went up against, which was just made her such a badass. She's maybe the ultimate badass in the whole series, just because, after that, Snake became, the big badass. Although he was inferior in some ways, he always found a way to win. Big Boss and Solid Snake. But she just, she made him look foolish. You know what I mean? If she wanted to beat him in that final fight, she easily could have. And it's I really like Big Boss as a character. The Boss as a character, but also Quiet. There's so many cool characters in the series, though. That's one of the other great things about the whole series is just the characters.
Oh yeah. So many. Sniper Wolf. Well, just everything about that fight, the character, everything about her, and
the speech
the
afterwards,
howling
so
over
cool.
her body. Yeah. Yep.
So cool.
I have always been a fan of Ocelot until he got taken over. Then the whole, Shalashaska thing. He's a double agent, but he's a triple agent, but he's friends with Boss, but he's like frenemies with Big Boss.
Yeah.
Then he's your kind of rival as Snake, but not really until he becomes Liquid. I mean, there's just so much wildness going on with that character.
Totally, yeah.
Meryl, I grew an attachment towards, especially when he came back in the fourth. To a lesser extent, Johnny, the shitting soldier in every single game, is hilarious.
Do you know about how he relates to Metal Gear Solid 1? And I think even...
The one in 4 was the same one in 1 who was having the diarrhea.
Was he the same guy? Or, I thought I heard that, the one in 1 was actually his father. That, or maybe I'm thinking of 3. He might have been in 3, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, his dad was in 3, also had problems with diarrhea. And, but... the funny thing is, a lot of people think it was a huge troll by Kojima that Meryl ends up with Johnny instead of Snake. Which I do kind of see. He is totally a troll when it comes to a lot of other things, so, I could see him actually putting it in the story just to troll fans, and a lot of people felt that way, that it was an actual, troll to the fans that Johnny ends up getting the girl instead of Snake.
Yes and no. I think it would have been weird if Meryl got with Snake, who was old Snake, who knew that he
had little time left.
Spoiler,
totally.
Was gonna die real soon. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was cheesy and silly, but it made sense to me.
Yeah, no, that's definitely very true. And it's that was another thing that was really sad about 4 is the fact that, spoiler alerts, is the old Snake had very little time left. It's especially when he was that was the part. Yeah, actually, that was the part that got me teared up. Is when he was about to kill himself. Spoiler alert. I said it 10 seconds ago. So, but
when do you think he did? And then credits roll for several minutes before it comes back, and turns out no, and here comes the real big boss after all these years.
Yep.
And explains everything left.
Yeah, and it's that alone I think was an hour and a half cutscene or something crazy like that. The ending, and wow, it's just so cool. Some people complain about that stuff, but I don't know. I like it. And it's even when I replayed them all, I didn't skip anything either. Same thing with the codec calls in Metal Gear Solid 1. I didn't skip anything. I listened to every single one of them.
They're golden.
Yeah,
totally. In 2, you can codec Al while you're jerking it. That's fucking classic. There's a trophy about it in HD Collection.
Wait, Raiden can jerk it?
Snake. There's a locker in one of the very, very early areas of Tanker that has a sexy poster.
Yep.
You get close enough to it and call Hal on the codec.
What?
I mean, you can't really tell, but it's implied that Snake is panting and moving a little bit. And Hal says something along the lines of, "That's gross," and he should get his mind out of the gutter and get back to the mission or something like that.
Wow.
There's a trophy involved or associated with that, yeah.
That's super
I mean,
funny.
there's tons of those. And I think there's a silly one where you can call the Major Zero while you're checking out Eva's cleavage in the third game or something stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I mean, Kojima definitely it has a bit of a perverted mind, just because there's a lot of that sort of thing in the series. And there was some controversy over
without panties?
over Quiet's appearance.
Or without pants.
What's that?
Meryl without pants. I don't remember
Um,
the specifics of how you did it, but in the first game, if you found Meryl because she was hiding in a guard's outfit,
Yeah.
if you found her in one of the bathrooms earlier than you were supposed to, you literally caught her with her pants down, and I don't exactly remember how you did it, but then in later cutscenes, she was pantless, walking around in her panties
Nice.
for the rest of the first game, or something along those lines. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, and then he really outdid himself with Quiet. I mean, wow. And I don't know, people were upset over that, or that what's that stupid that psychopath girl that's not even really a gamer, Anita something, whatever. But yeah, no, I mean, there was some people complaining about it, but I mean, I at least liked that they came up with an explanation that she breathed through her skin, and that's why. To me, that was a fair explanation. I mean, especially everything she went through, and obviously she was kind of like a science experiment, basically. Really cool character, and my favorite buddy out of the, all the buddies you could have. I used her the most and liked her the best. But, what's it called? The one thing I didn't do, though, is I did not let her story finish. I don't know if, spoiler alert, but you could use the butterfly emblem. If you equip that as your emblem, you would never lose her. You wouldn't get her final missions or whatever, but basically she leaves Snake because she doesn't want to spread the virus or whatever. Although that wasn't really an issue anyways. I forget exactly why, because I can't remember precisely. Basically, she thought that she would be putting everyone at risk because she spoke English, and that's why and she just left because she didn't want to get everyone sick, and she thought that she herself was going to get sick and die, but that actually wasn't the case, and I forget exactly why. Something that Code Talker said, but yeah, basically I didn't even do that. I watched that whole thing on YouTube because I just didn't want to lose her. Apparently later they patched in though, where if you do something, I think 7 times or something, maybe it was the first encounter with her. If you repeat that 7 times, you get her back. But when the game first released, that wasn't there. So it's and that was when I played the whole game. So it's I never did those missions. I still have the butterfly emblem intact. Actually, it's because I did not want to lose her. I grew attached to her, and she's like I said, I like using her as a buddy the most. So never did those, but I do know what happens, and it's pretty. Thought it was pretty epic. Pretty big part of the story, I think. Yeah, no, I love Metal Gear Solid 5. I love the whole series, but yeah, I don't know. I think Metal Gear Solid 5 is really, really good, although it has its issues. But one thing it doesn't have issues with is graphics and frame rate. I mean, it's pretty impressive that it looks like that, but it's also 1080p 60 FPS. I mean, they kind of embarrass a lot of other developers of this gen with that, because not only does it look incredible, but it's 60 frames a second, no problems at all, rock solid frame rate, and very impressive. I mean, plus the quality of everything, the audio, I mean, it's a pretty amazing tactical achievement in addition to being a brilliant game, so. And
it's a cross-gen game.
Yeah, it wasn't even exclusive.
That also came out on PS3.
And it kind of, it definitely kind of sticks it to some of the exclusives because it's 60 frames a second. I don't think at least PS4 exclusives doesn't totally outdo them, but I mean it certainly does for all the other multi-platform developers and stuff. I think it's. I don't know. I think it's a good example of how lighting can be so much more important than some of the other things in graphics. Like, because I mean, if you look really close at the textures in it, they're not superb. They're not like great, but like the game still looks amazing because of the lighting is just so good. And also, I mean, obviously, like the art direction is really good because what's his name? Yoji Shinkawa, I think. He does all the art design for Metal Gear Solid series. He's awesome. And I don't know. It's cool that Sony kind of has Kojima working for them, sort of. But I don't know. It seems like it's going to be many years before we see anything from that partnership. I mean, it probably won't even be on PS4. I'd say.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be on PS4.
You think it'll be cross-gen? Because I assume that it's not going to be out to like 2019, 2020. You know.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I mean it's hard to say.
Definitely.
I mean the assumption is then that PS5 or whatever it'll be called.
Yeah.
Probably PS5. It's going to be out around 2019, 2020 time frame.
Yeah.
Which will put it in line with every single other console. 6-7 years apart.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I think that if it was just Kojima and he had to hire a bunch of new people, then that'd be a slightly different story. I can't help but think that whoever he took with him from the Metal Gear Solid team probably has a lot of experience and team. They just really work well as a team already.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that whatever they do, they use. Again, it's probably long shot assumptions here, but the Fox engine is not theirs.
Yeah.
But I can't help but think they were able to take some assets that they worked on for that, and certain codes and stuff like that. I mean, especially.
I'm sure they learned a ton from it
themselves.
And they could probably apply what they learned to making a new engine if that's what they want to do. But making an engine takes so much time.
Piggyback on a Unity or something along those lines.
I hope it's not
Unreal
Unity.
Or whatever.
I hope it's not Unity, but yeah, no, I mean, they could use like Unreal 4 or, one of the other engines, like CryEngine.
Or aligning themselves.
I really like
aligning themselves with Sony. Sony is open
to sharing engines, like they Supermassive used the Killzone engine,
first party,
which would be awesome.
Yeah, all the first parties share engines and assets and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I'm pretty sure if Kojima walked into Naughty Dog and saw the engine from Uncharted 4 and said, I want to use this as the basis for my game, they'd be like, here you go, here's a ribbon, take anything else you want, including these muffins, and they would absolutely do that. So I mean, maybe, who knows, if it's a Sony exclusive IP and PC, but Sony owns, I don't know who owns it, I don't know how it's happening, what the logistics behind it are. I assume Sony wants to get it out as soon as possible, which in Kojima terms means years and years, but
especially because
still, I mean,
he said that his next title is going to be very, very ambitious too. Like, so it's it's not like he's trying to make a maybe smaller scale game this time. Like, he's going for full AAA big budget type game this time again. So I guess
I'm sure he got a blank check from Sony, but Sony also said, please don't release this on the PS6.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't think that's too much of a worry, but what I could see happening is him planning to release it in maybe 2019, 2020, but then PS5 comes out, and because it's a new system, they have to kind of rework a lot of different things, and that adds another year or two, much like Metal Gear Solid 5, because I think 5 was kind of supposed to be out earlier for PS4 or whatever, but and then it took a couple years extra. I could see that happening with PS5. Like, I could see it with PS4, it being in like the second and a half, 2.5 years or Was it almost 3 years? Actually, it was almost 3 years after the PS4 release that they did Metal Gear Solid 5. I could see that happening with this game, which would possibly lead it to like 2022, 23. That would be kind of crazy. But
Or if they want to kill it, launch title for PS5.
yeah.
I mean, that's shooting for the moon, but
totally.
it would
Unless
totally
they planned that from the start, you know what I mean?
rock out.
Unless they like literally from the start had that idea. Yeah, I doubt they could actually do it.
Well, they built the PS4 by talking to devs,
Yeah.
and in particular their first party. And
Oh yeah.
while Kojima is not first party, I'm sure he's the first one they're going to and saying, we know that there's a certain cinematic flair to your games that require quite a bit of power behind. What do you want in a PS5? And, you know, I'm sure he's also going to be at the forefront along with Naughty Dog, getting those dev kits for PS5 just to tap into it and see what they can do.
Yeah, and Gorilla.
Ambitious and a hell of a thing.
Yeah, no, it's a launch game is a very hard thing to pull off, which just makes it all that more impressive. Killzone is that much more impressive to me that it was a day one game and it looks like that, and it plays like that, and was just a great game even from day one. Like it's amazing what they did, which I cannot wait to play Horizon Zero Dawn. But that's a different topic.
Yeah.
But yeah. Metal Gear, it's definitely one of my favorite series ever, and it's a shame that it's kind of over. But I'm probably gonna replay the series again at some point, and I still want to play more Metal Gear Solid 5 because there's just quite a lot of things to do, and I haven't even got into the whole FOB and like the infiltration, like infiltrating other people's bases. I haven't even tried that yet. I need to, definitely need to. Did try the multiplayer. What did you think? Did you try Metal Gear Solid Online?
No.
No?
I mean, I remember playing. I didn't play the PS2 one because I didn't have
There's a PS2
router
one?
or. There was.
Really?
It came with Metal Gear Solid 3. Yeah, it was the
I didn't know that.
first iteration of a Metal Gear Online game. The second one I did play a little bit was with Metal Gear Solid 4.
Yeah.
When that came out. And I assume that this one is similar. Online multiplayer games aren't really my thing.
Yeah. I didn't get to try 4 because the servers were shut down by the time I actually got 4. But yeah, from what I saw, it actually did look a little different, like a little more limited, like definitely in scale. 5 is actually pretty solid. Like it's definitely fun, and I mean it seems pretty balanced too. But like being at 60 frames a second and having like just the quality gameplay that the game has, that it's pretty. I think it's pretty awesome, and it's a pretty solid platform for an online shooter. I think I need to play it more, but yeah, it's solid. It's definitely good.
So
Exactly. And I mean, I'm pretty sure there's probably a costume you could use to be Solid Snake in that. Or, like I did get one that was the boss. Like I got her costume for that. Or oh wait, was that the single player? Might have been single player too or something. But yeah, that was one cool thing I thought that they did for DLC. But yeah, I don't know. Anything else that you want to talk about as far as Metal Gear goes?
But which one is your favorite?
Well, like I said, 4 is my favorite, although I think 1 is the best. Actually, 1 I think was my number 3 in my top 5 best games of all time, I think. I think so. I think it was 3. But
Okay.
Or 4. It might have been 4. I think I might have put Uncharted 2 ahead of it, but yeah, no, I love 1. I think it's the most solid of the series, and 3 is very close as well. Like as far as like single games, like self-contained games, I think 1 and 3 are the best. But it's just the fan service of 4 just puts it over the top for me. And that's why. Also, I did actually think that it was the best gameplay-wise until 5 came along.
It's respectable. I agree. I do think 1 is the best. It's the most probably standalone.
Yeah.
But 3 is my favorite. I mean, I was sold within the first hour. You're sneaking through the jungle. You see a young ocelot, and you see your big boss, and all the shit happens, and then you go back and Snake Eater plays. And that's it. I was done. I loved it. Love everything about it.
Yeah, I gotta love that theme song.
4 is a close second for me because I just love the evolution of the games and how even though we were playing a Solid Snake and not Big Boss in 4, you still get the eye patch and they give you a reason to wear it to link back to the one you just played.
Yeah.
Even though he lost his eye towards the end.
That is one great thing about the series is they definitely evolved it. Like they didn't try to rehash the same mechanics and stuff over. Like they really did change, innovate and change the series as they went along. Like, and that's one thing I think they deserve credit for. Just because like they definitely evolved over time. And 5 is just gameplay wise, it's just incredible. And like I haven't played every stealth game, but to me, it seems like it's the best stealth game ever. 5, like as far as like mechanics and just overall quality. But
quite good. 4 was kind of cheating, I thought. The camo suit. It made stealth too easy. 3 were smart with the camo and how you applied it, and it was pretty good. At first, I hated indoors, but I appreciated that whole thing, but 5 kind of sort of eliminates all that.
There's just so much freedom with
having to
5
choose
too.
both.
It's just and so many different tools to use. Like it's also just like all the basic mechanics for like cover stuff. It's just so solid. Like I love it. Like it's really good. But the series in general is just so incredible, and I look forward to the next time I replay it because I definitely will. All the games I really, really like, I always will replay, especially when it comes to series like Metal Gear. But I did have one other thing, but I can't remember. But I don't know. You want to wrap it up?
Sure.
All right, cool. Nah, that was fun. I mean, much like the me and Steve did a Fallout podcast. It was really, really enjoyable and really easy to do. So I don't know. We should maybe think about finding like a game or a series that all of us like, and then we can do that as a group. Like I was thinking Uncharted. Like after 4 comes out and after we've all played it, like we could maybe do like a full podcast just on Uncharted. I think that would be awesome. We'll wrap it up here. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.